privilege to be the chair of this session. Welcome all of you in the Inspire conference. Welcome in the Strasbourg. My role here is more or less to take care about the time. So we have in this session we have several very interesting presentations, and to save our time, I would like to invite first speaker, actually two of them, which will present Geopont. Is this pronounced in English? The Inspire Geoportal of Flanders. So I will ask also both presenters to introduce themselves. Floor is yours, please.
Good morning, everyone. As Thomas mentioned, the next 50 minutes, Loes de Venter and I will talk about Geopunt. We could talk hours about it, but we only have 50 minutes, so we decided to limit it with numbers and take you through Geopunt with those numbers. Loes de Venter is my colleague now for 10 years, and she's the business analyst of Geopunt, and I'm the product owner of Geopunt. We will alternate each other during the presentation, and we will try to do that as smoothly as possible. We work both for Flanders Information Agency. It's a public administration in Flanders. Flanders is one of the 3 regions in Belgium. You can see on this slide some numbers, some keywords about the agency. But we better move quickly to Geopunt. Geopunt is the geoportal of the Flemish government and was released in November 2013. We tried with Geopunt to meet the requirements of the SDI Flanders degree and of the Inspire directive. And we tried to cover with Geopunt all requirements at the same time, rather than creating separate solutions for each one of them. Business requirements such as location-based information combining all in one place and in an intuitive website, and we think we succeeded with that. We made it also as accessible as possible, for example, from a common civilian user to a professional GIS user. We aimed to reach both of them. We have API solutions on Geopunt for the professional user, but we have points of interest, data, map tools, a lot of it for all other kinds of users. The offered data on Geopunt, 86% of it is open data, and that's a huge accomplishment if you know that at the start of it, in 2013, only 1% was open data. And last but not least, Geopunt without metadata wouldn't exist. Data wouldn't be there, so metadata is also a very important component of Geopunt. We are, in fact, as Geopunt.be, the metadata node of Flanders. We collect every other metadata nodes within Flanders.
So now we will take you through Geopunt with some stunning numbers from 50 million to 1. So counting down from the biggest number to 1, it feels a little bit like New Year's Eve. We start with the biggest one. Our services receives in 1 month more than 50 million requests, going from GetMap over GetTile to GetLegend Graphic, etc. And as you can see, just over half of those requests are for the WebMap tile service, and the rest of those requests are divided between our different WebMap services, going from large-scale data over aerial views to historical and thematical data.
Another stunning numbers are the page views on Geopunt.be. Between the launch and last month, we had 14 million page views and 2.3 million unique users. We have an average of almost 5,000 users per weekday. We think that's really a success. You can see here a graph of from the unique users and the page views of Geopunt from the launch till now, and you can see the growth of it. Every peak you can see is a result of the mentioning of Geopunt in Flanders media. You can also see that after almost every peak, we kept recurring users, which we believe is an indication of the acceptance of the application. Our top day was the launch day, and in July, 2 months ago, we broke our monthly record. On the graph, you can distinguish clearly 4 peaks, and we will now look into it, what the reason was of those 4 peaks. The first one I already told was our top day, the launch of Geopunt in November 2013. It was mentioned in a lot of Flanders media, newspapers, journals. Also, our minister talked about it. So everybody wanted to have a look on that geoportal that showed historical data, all kinds of data. They all went to there. A year later, not even a year later, we saw a big rush to Geopunt. And that was a result of the mentioning of a specific data layer, the flooding areas in newspapers with, like you see, is your street laid in a riskful area? Those media reported that, and everybody, of course, wanted to check if their house or their street or their garden was in riskful area. At that time, we weren't prepared for such a large amount of users, so our systems went down. We believe, of course, that if they would stay alive, we had a big, more huge peak of it. The third peak we saw on the graph was, in fact, for the same kind of data that all again was reported in several newspapers and online media. Again, everybody wanted to check the new data about the flooding risk areas, and apparently it's a hot topic. And now the last peak, our monthly record in July 2017, was a result of one of the Flanders agencies that released on Geopunt a map about hunting areas. Now those hunting areas, they are a little bit bizarre because they are big areas, and apparently schools, cemeteries, private gardens are also colored in green in the hunting area. So of course a lot of press, a lot of people, a lot of communities reacted on that, but it's handled by the other agency for the map, but Geopunt was a success in that way that a lot of users wanted to go check on Geopunt. It was the first time that they could check it online, that kind of information. And we are proud to say that now we didn't went down. In meanwhile, all our services, our Geopoint also is in the cloud, and we are able to scale simultaneous users. And so we did it very well. In previous slides on the online newspapers, the media, you saw the use of a functionality of Geopunt. It's called the Minimaps. Since the launch, it's a nice number also, already 26,000 URLs of Minimaps were made. But not only the media uses that functionality of Geopunt, we see a lot of use of it also in local governments, other governments of Flanders, which they use it to, on their public website, to indicate roadworks, parking lots, points of interests like the location of libraries, sport infrastructures, etc. A number I clearly must also mention are numbers about metadata. As I mentioned in the beginning, metadata is very important for Geopunt. We are the Flanders node of metadata. And the number I chose was the 3,477 metadata sets of data sets that are on it. There, from those, 3,166 are the metadata are Inspire conform, and 275 data sets has the keyword MNR monitoring and reporting Inspire in their metadata, which results in a filter towards the monitoring and reporting of Inspire to Europe.
Via our different data trees in the different applications of Geopunt, a user can activate data layers, and those data layers are based on 501 different service layers. 356 coming of our own agency, 107 are provided by Mercatornet, and 38 by Databank Ondergrond Vlaanderen. Those two parties are partners of us in SDI Flanders. Our services, 38 of them, 37 WMSs and 1 WebMap tile service, are available for more than 99% of the time, reaching the Inspire goal as requested. And in total, we use in Geopunt 44 different services, going from the web map services and the web map tile services, but also APIs. The APIs handling data about geolocation, elevation, parcel information, etc. And I'm talking all of the time about our different Geopunt applications. Well, here they are. We have 14 of them. These applications have special data or special functionalities, or they have a different approach to historical data or to data about roadworks. On 3 of them, users can retrieve information about the nearest living situation, about the nearest information about building things, about leisure time. We also have an app where you can compare maps next to each other on the screen. We also have one where you can find information based on attributes of the data layer. And as you can see by the pineapple, what isn't a pineapple, we also have an Inspire application. We can both talk hours about them, our different applications, but you can meet us at the Conterra booth this afternoon and also tomorrow and Friday, where we can have a chat about them. Counting further down, Geopunt offers as well 2 plugins, one for Quantum GIS and one for ArcGIS. And these plugins combine the useful data and the functionalities of Geopunt together. So a user with a little bit of GIS experience can use both on them on his local project via these plugins. And then, as mentioned before, we are at number 1. We're combining everything on one geoportal, the geoportal of Flanders, and it's as simple as it can get. On geopunt.be, you find everything on one place, from the map, which is our homepage, to the catalog fed by metadata.geopunt.be, where users can find information about datasets, web services, applications, not only of our own agency, but also of all the partners of SDI Flanders. Next to it, we have a page for the experienced user with information about the Inspire Directive, metadata, SDI Flanders and his partners, etc. We also have a forum with news items and agenda topics for all partners of SDI Flanders. And of course, we have a page with manuals and movies about how to use Geopunt, and also with the frequently asked questions. And by this, I would like to have this question to you. Do you have questions for us? We have still 2 minutes, so we can handle some questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much for an excellent presentation. So, the audience floor is yours. There we have time for several questions. Please, there is a microphone available also. There is one question, please.
I'm sorry, I didn't really understand. Who were your partners in the portal? You mentioned different organizations, but I didn't really get what they were doing specifically.
There are other Flemish government agencies that are working with geodata, and they are making also their metadata, they are making services, and they are like another node in the Flanders SDI.
Okay,
The
there's
agency.
no municipalities or...
No,
it's only government agencies.
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Another question? There is one question close to the...
When you present these nice applications, I'm from France also. I got some questions about is this technology reusable? Can we implement it in other countries? For instance, I got some actual questions about that. Is that possible?
The technology which created the map is from MapApps from Conterra, so that's not reusable. But every other API we made with the services that's open, you can all reuse that. And you can use the plugins of the GeoPoint functionalities in your own GIS software. And
yeah, but my question is not about using plugins, because that's only about
I think that has to be handled by Contera because we're using map-ups of Contera for our map component, not for our GeoPortal, but for the map component. And it's not reusable in that way, no.
Did you consider to use open source software so it could be fully reusable?
That's a good remark, yes. We could have done that, but the decision was made elsewhere in 2011. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Laura. Thank you, Luz. I think they deserve another applause now. Okay. In the meantime, before we go to the next presenter, I would like to invite all people who are standing over there. There is some free chairs already within the auditorium. And from Flanders, we will go to Finnish. So Finnish GeoPortal Service Platform will be presented by Panna Mui. So, floor is yours, please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to everybody. My name is Panu Muhli. I'm from the National Land Survey of Finland, which is a partner in a fairly recently set new project, or actually you could call it a platform called Finnish Geospatial Service Platform, which is, well, the aim is to provide high-quality interoperable public geodata and services for a digital society. Now, you might be inclined to think that Finland, as one of the efficient Nordic countries, has already set up a smoothly running SDI with maximal benefits for the users, but that's not yet the case, or the truth is only to a partial extent. There are still many shortcomings within the Finnish SDI. We still have the kind of very traditional data producer-driven processes in place, and in many cases we kind of found out that we are still missing the user's perspective. We do have lots of data and services, also Inspire compliant, but they are still a bit kind of too distributed for, in particular, non-professional users to really find the data and use the services as easily as possible. Also, the data harmonization level, both in the kind of Inspire context and also in national context, is rather low. And there are lots of variations in data and service operation quality. And, well, for Inspire, we still have gaps. As you can see to the right, it's a snapshot of the recently published Finnish country fiche from every member state. And as you see, well, we are good at coordinating and sharing data, but we still have much to do with the services. But as you can see, the little green circles to the right, it says that we are in a good way. At least the Commission believes that we are about to improve the situation, and this geospatial platform will be one of the drivers for a change. Now, this program was set up we started the planning phase in the beginning of this year, so it's rather young. So in short, we are going to set up a common platform for both geodata providers and users. We need to improve quality and, in particular, the usability of services now provided rather distributed. And there's a lot to be streamlining for collaboration between different administrative levels. I mean, local, regional authorities and government agencies. So it's all about the processes. And boost Inspire implementation and close the gap. And on top of that, we need to provide not just the new technology and new services, but also to provide support and training for both the data providers and end users. And as a sort of backbone, we have a so-called national service infrastructure. It's sort of, if you know, the Estonian X-Road is rather similar, using the same software components as well. And that's going to provide some of the kind of common services like authorization, authentication, and also the possibility to transfer secure geodata if necessary. And our present government is also very keen on promoting digitalization of the society and providing new e-services. And this program, platform program, is one of the kind of key projects of the present government. So we need to, in short, link data, processes and services. Both the data provider services, providing the data at different levels, to the user services. That's the linkage, which is kind of in the very core of this program. Now we have lots of components. I really won't get into any details. Myself, I'm the project manager for this Inspire Services package, but there are many other packages, components. There's a technical platform providing common services to all these different sort of thematic packages. We plan to improve the address system, land use planning, and harmonize the processes, also to provide easy-to-use satellite data related to, in particular, the Copernicus program. Also, we need to provide better service infrastructure for regional authorities, and so on. So just taking a look at the Inspire Services package. So we want to close the gap, or at least promote closing the gap, but we also want to boost or kind of extend the Inspire data, products and services depending on national needs. So we are going to provide some of the kind of most important Inspire data products before the deadlines even, but also to extend and boost those products depending on national needs. We want to improve the search functionalities. Now we just have the geodata catalog with metadata and the CSW interface, but we want to include also so-called semantically intelligent search functionalities, and also link the search with Google searches. So to kind of lower the barrier for non-professional users to find the data and services. We also want to provide functionalities to link spatial and, in general, non-spatial data. I think statistical data is going to be kind of the first example, but we can extend that also to any non-spatial data that has some sort of reference to spatial data, to also improve data-driven decision making. And we also planning to provide improved support for environmental reporting at national level for those organizations responsible for the e-reporting obligations. So in the very beginning, we wanted to start from the benefits, of course, not just build a technical platform and see if anybody is going to use it. So benefits and use cases first. So as for this improved national address system, of course, that's a huge benefit for rescue and emergency services and logistics, for fully digitalized, harmonized land use planning processes throughout the different administrative levels. So that's going to be or create more effective monitoring of land use, and also improved management of real estate properties, and also the taxation system for real properties. Now, yes, there's the Inspire implementation. Copernicus data can be used for more effective monitoring, for instance, these agricultural subsidies, as every EU member state is facing. We have also the National Topographic Database maintained by the National Land Survey of Finland, but it's going to be renewed, and it's merged within this program. And for instance, the 3D information laser scanning data can be used much more effectively than previously, for instance, in forestry businesses. And also the regional authorities need to create and have better situation awareness services, and also optimization of, for instance, service networks for healthcare. And there are many other use cases. These are just kind of couple of first examples, and just for these use cases, we estimate that total benefit is almost 20 million euros. So the roadmap for the program, we have started. We are still planning. We don't have the funding for implementation yet, but, well, we are probably going to have it, but we still have to finish some, for instance, cost-benefit analysis. If we get the funding, that's a matter of month or two. We start the first pilot phases, so we are going to do lots of proof of concepts and piloting to seek out the best possible technological solution for the functionalities. And then implementation phase itself starts at the latest in the beginning of next year and continues up to 2019 when we start deployment. The total budget for the implementation phase is around 8 million euros. So at the moment, yes, we are kind of elaborating the plans. We have been benchmarking, so we want to learn from others. So we've been visiting a couple of agencies, for instance, Netherlands, and kind of getting more information about the PDOC managed by Netherlands Cadastre. Also, we've been visiting the Ordnance Survey in UK and going to also hear the Norwegian authorities. So we don't want to really reinvent the wheel, but learn from others and see what we can do. We are drafting the business model. That's a sort of partly open question at the moment. We have the implementation funding, or we are going to have the funding, but then, of course, for running the system and developing it further, that's an issue. And we want to finalize the cost-benefit analysis. The Ministry of Finance, of course, is very keen to see that, what sort of benefits we are going to see. And so we are, at the moment, also waiting for the funding decision. So, in short, what the geospatial platform will do is not to set up a new SDI, just to complement the present SDI and make it more usable. We provide common data, and we also harmonize the processes between different administrative levels. We want to link data processes and services in a kind of controlled, coherent manner, and to provide a sort of single access point for Inspire data and services. And one of the key goals is really to enable the policymakers in Finland to make better decisions, more informed decision based on spatial and non-spatial data. And also we want to create new business opportunities for private sector, which is going to be based on reliable, authoritative data, high quality data. So that's it. Thanks for your attention. Do we still have
Thank
time
you,
for
Panu.
question or two?
Thank you, and as the previous time, we also now have time for several questions from the podium. Please.
Very nice presentation, thank you. Two questions actually. Firstly, can you say a little more about how you're planning to link geospatial data and non-spatial data? I'd like to see how this is more than just another geoportal. And the second question on that collaboration between providers and users, what are you going to do that's different from everyday geoportals in that respect?
Okay, so for linking the data from technological perspective, we are going to use as a reference implementation the TJS table joining service standard, which is now being updated as a kind of Finnish Netherlands-Dutch collaboration, and use that functionality to provide and link non-spatial data to spatial one and provide that as web services. Not necessarily just as a portal with a combination of data, but to provide kind of new data, previously non-spatial data, as a web service to be used in any other services. Now for the kind of linkage between the data providers and users, well, that's a good question. We have set up early in the project, we have set up the so-called user forum, where we want to collect feedback for even the initial plans, and to kind of refine and iterate the plans also with the users. But of course, we need to keep in touch with the user side all the time, not just in the end of the projects when we have the finished services, but we need to kind of listen to the users throughout the process. It's not going to be easy, I'm certain of that, but that has been the goal since the beginning of the platform.
Thank you. Another question? If there is no, maybe I may ask one question. Do you estimate already the maintenance cost for such a platform which will be built up after 2019 for yearly or cost for operating sustainable?
We don't have exact numbers yet. This is something we want to kind of learn from other agencies, other countries as well,
Okay.
to see what's the cost is estimated to be.
Okay.
No
Thank you.
numbers yet.
Thank you, Panu. Thank you very much. Well, from Finland, now we will move in Macedonia. So our next presenter is Mrs. Sonja Dimova from Agency of Real Estate Cadastre from Macedonia, and she will speak about national spatial data infrastructure in her country.
Ah, okay. This one. Good. No? Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sonja Dimova from the Agency for Real Estate Cadastre, and topic of my presentation is National Spatial Data Infrastructure Development in the Republic of Macedonia. The Agency for Real Estate Cadastre is a state institution which responsibility is defined into the law for real estate cadastre from 2013. Namely, beside of the all activity which are under responsibility of the agency, one of them is establish and maintenance of public access to the National Spatial Geoportal according to the separate law. This means that the Agency for Real Estate Cadastre, for his regular work related to the cadastre and another element, have law, but regarding to the NSDI, also we have another special law. The base for the development of the NSDI is the strategy. Our first strategy is developed between 2010 and 2012 and have a 7 component. All of these components are very important, but in our development, we start first with a legal component. When we finished the strategy in 2012, the Macedonian government adopted the strategy and established a working group which has a task to prepare a NSDI law. The 1 year is needed to prepare this version of the NSDI law. We organize in this time also the open debate for take some opinion from another stakeholders. And when we finish in the end of 2013, we send the law for adoption on governance procedure. On the beginning, on 2014, Macedonian government adopted the NSDI law. Last year, we made 1 changes in order to include 2 more institutions into the NSDI society. The NSDI law is very related to the INSPIRE directive, have a 7 component, and last year we make some monitoring about the compliance of this law with the INSPIRE directive, and we conclude that 72% from the obliged article from the INSPIRE directive are transposed into our NSDI law. Because in our legislation are not available to make the annexes on the law, we make a decision to include all data sets which are defined into the annexes 1, 2, and 3 in our law into 1 article. Because our country have data for sea region and oceanographics feature, we have totally 32 data sets with frame of the NSDI. Regarding the NSDI governance, this is one of very important part in order to be successful functionality of NSDI. And in our NSDI law, we have article which regulate this NSDI body. Our NSDI body have a pyramidal form. On the top, on the main level, we have 4 working group. This is a working group for legal issues, then another for technical, third for economy, and fourth for PR and awareness about the SDI. Each working group has a president, and for president and representative from the agency are member of the NSDI committee. And on the top of pyramid is NSDI Council as a high level of governance of this structure. On this slide, I illustrated the member of the NSDI Council. Chair of this council is Deputy Premier of Macedonian government responsible for economical issues. Into the NSDI Council participate 10 ministries, representatives from 10 ministries. Then we have 6 government institutions, City of Skopje, and 2 chambers. This is Economical Chamber of Republic of Macedonia and Association of Economic Chambers of Republic of Macedonia. The Macedonian government make a decision with official way, which give possibility to establish this council or nominate the member of this council. For regular work of the council, we have rule book for the work. According with this rule book, the council is obliged minimum 2 times per year make meetings. Also, in May 2015, are officially established 4 working groups, and each of them has a rule book for his work. During the 2013-2014, we developed terms of reference for establishment of the NSDI geoportal. On the slide is illustrated the architecture of this geoportal. And in 2014-2015, we work on develop of technical solution for establishment of the national geoportal. This is a web-based solution which enable to searching and publishing of the spatial data services from all 20 members into the NSDI. Also have possibility for publishing the data from a third part, but only with permission of the NSDI Council. And this geoportal officially was announced in June 2015. The geoportal give several possibilities for the users, provide a tool for creation of metadata on metadata editor, which are available for all NSDI members, all ministries and state agency which are participating to the NSDI, searching the data and searching data by keywords. Also have a data catalog with data sets which are available on the geoportal. Is developed option for e-payment. That means that each citizen or private company which needs some data from the geoportal using e-payment can obtain the data in relevant shape, format, or another form. And also contain a map viewer application which give possibility to the user to see the real situation of the data and his design. On the geoportal, we have several type of user. Generally are divided into 2 groups. One is internal user. This is all NSDI members, ministries and government agency. And external user, this is third party, private company and citizens. And of course we have administrator which have task to administrate the NSDI geoportal. On the GeoPortal are published data and services, but besides, according to the national standards, the data are available compliant with INSPIRE. This means that the data which are harmonized with INSPIRE directive has a logo of INSPIRE, and user know that this data is compatible with INSPIRE directive. In order to take a easier exchange of the data, Legal Working Group prepare a data sharing agreement. This agreement is accepted by the NSDI Council, and 9 subjects already signed this agreement. The agreement have 2 annexes. Annex 1 is a list of data set and services for which is NSDI subject responsible. And Annex 2 is annex related to the nominate of the person who has right to go directly to the NSDI GeoPortal and using the password take the data directly from the GeoPortal or using the relevant services. I would like to mention that last year we developed a new strategy for 2017-2019 related to the NSDI. This new strategy have 4 components. This is technical, legal, governance, and finance. And our next steps is related to the technical, to work to enrich the number of data and services which will be available on the GeoPortal, and also building the capacity for production of update spatial data and services. This is very important because in our GeoPortal the number of data sets still is not so higher. We have several data sets which are available on the GeoPortal. Regarding the legal component, we will try to finalize the bylaw for the metadata and network services, working some issue about the protected data, and to enlarge the number of signing data sharing agreement. Related the governance structure, we will take activity for the raising the awareness about the NSDI through the society and informing the stakeholders about the significance of the NSDI and encourage them to involve into the NSDI. And finally, as a very important component is financial component. We develop all of this activity support from the state budget, but also supported by the several projects which are financed by the Dutch government, by the Swedish government, by the World Bank, but also in the future maybe will have possibility to find some models for funding from another project, or for including some private companies or third party as a partner to develop better services and more data on our GeoPortal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Sonia. We also will use this opportunity for give a chance to put some questions from the auditorium. Is there any question? Everything was clear presented, so maybe I will use this opportunity. Which part of those components was most complicated or most complex, which you mentioned and presented today?
When we start to the strategy, we think that technical is very complex, but as I can see from the last year, the work with people and to make some agreement in order to develop the legal component, some data sharing agreement is quite difficult. And it's very difficult to take all of these 20 subjects for an NSDI, 20 institutions, to agree that one bylaw or one agreement is quite enough good and acceptable for all of them.
So governance, as in many other countries. Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you again. And now we'll go back to Flanders. So Tony van der Stad from Informatic Flanders will speak about Magda Square. Is the presenter? Okay, the floor is yours, please.
you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. During my short presentation, I'll give you an overview of two of our products, being the Magda Square Information Sharing Services platform, the Flemish Citizen Portal, and how these two products help address some of the requirements of the new EU General Data Protection Regulations. So as with everything, we have to start with the why. I've learned that last year in the Inspire conference. Why do we have a Magda Square Information Sharing Services? Well, our challenges are mainly the same as Panu already mentioned in Finland. Also, the Flemish government is moving towards a digital information-driven government. So all our processes have to be made digital and information-based. Secondly, we noticed within the environment, within the society, everybody nowadays produces data. All our mobiles are sending data out into the open. And everybody also needs data from others. You cannot stick anymore within your own silo, within your own domain. You need others to help you to get the data. Third challenge, also already mentioned by Panu. We see more and more congregation from spatial and non-spatial data. So there as well, silos have to be broken up. Spatial world has to meet the non-spatial world. And finally, if all those data and information has to be shared with one another, data access should be easy. Data should be secure during transport. And lastly, the data which is then on the receiving end has to be of a trusted quality and integrity. Here, we think our Magda Square platform is giving the answers. Secondly, why do we build a Flemish Citizen Portal? Well, it has many use cases, but the one I want to highlight here during the presentation is the one related to the EU General Data Protection Regulations. So through the portal, we want to become a transparent government. We want to give each citizen insight into his or her data, which is owned or used by the government. We also want to give insight in who is using that data for which purpose, which are two requirements from the GDPR. We also want to give the citizen back control of his data. He should have the opportunity to give feedback if he noticed this or that information doesn't seem to be right. I think it is another value. So he has to have easy access in doing that. And lastly, giving control also means that he can give consent in using his data. Then third question, why the Flemish Information Agency is involved in all of this? Well, Laura and Luz already gave an introduction to our regional authority. So we are working in the Flemish region for our 6.4 million citizens, and we work in collaboration with different governmental agencies on different levels in Belgium, also with the EU, of course, and also working together with private partners. So during the remainder of this presentation, I give you an overview of how Magda Square and the Flemish Citizen Portal fit within our strategy towards the digital government, and then some highlights on the Citizens Portal itself and how Magda Square helps in providing the services to the citizens. So also, as in Finland, we start with the use cases. What do our users, being the citizens, businesses, government agencies in Flanders and Belgium, really need? I hope it's clear on the screen. Yeah. So we need easy, accessible channels and front offices to communicate with all our users. We need to provide them meaningful information, and in order to provide those information, we need the sharing services, and also the databases itself have to be modernized to provide them. So we start at the left from the top. What do the user need? We think in our strategy we need all those 4 levels, and then we go back up and provide the services to those users. On the left, you will see the Citizens Portal is then our communication channel with the citizens. The Magda Square is then for providing the sharing services. And in between, 2 other products of our agency, which I will not highlight much during my presentation, is our work on Oslo Square, which is semantic standardization, and providing a set of Bayes registries, which will be needed to connect all those information sources to one another. This strategy also fits within the new IIF, so the European Interoperability Framework, which some of you may know, others who are new, I have provided a link to it, so please have a look at it. We find it very helpful for organizing ourselves. So I'll not go into much detail in what is provided here, just to say that Mahda Square is focusing on the element of integrated service delivery and security and privacy as well. I come to that later. And then our citizen portal is one of the possible integrated public services which we are currently building. So we have then a look at the Flemish citizen portal. If somebody logs in to our portal, we can provide him or her an overview of his or her information at government level. As it is in Dutch, I will provide you some guidelines. This is for the domain of property. So here we provide an overview of all property information. We know that citizen here, Thomas Depree, owns or lives in. Here it's his place of residence. We can provide the address, who owns the house. So here apparently Thomas is not the owner of the house, but his wife Kara is. We can provide information on the taxes on that property, some building characteristics, and here as well information about the energy prestige. Most importantly, totally on the right, you will see we also provide a building ID. It's very vital to provide all this kind of information through the citizen portal. So here, the Mahda Square integrated service delivery provides data to the citizen at one location, one point, easy access, data which come from different sources. We have data from the federal level, the local level, and the regional level. So the citizen doesn't need to know anymore who has the data of me, just one location where we can find all the data together. People might recognize also the X-Road of Estonia in this presentation. If we look a little step further under the hood as well, in order to provide all those data at one location from different sources, we do need semantic standards. We do need Bayes registries. So on the right, you can see the core here is the building with the building ID, in which we provide a Bayes registry on buildings. And that ID is used to interconnect databases from different sources. So on the right, we'll see two Flemish sources, being Ruimte Vlaanderen, which is the planning authority in Flanders, and VIA, who is responsible for the energy in Flanders. So we can use the building unit ID to collect data from that place and provide it in the citizen portal. On the right, we go on another governmental level in Belgium. We go to the federal level, in which the building is connected to the cadastral parcel, and there we can find information about ownership, taxes on federal level. I have not mentioned Inspire, but here I can say we're using Inspire data harmonization specifications and the ISA core vocabulary building blocks in order to build that information network on the right. Secondly, as required by GDPR, we can provide through the Flemish Citizen Portal an overview of who is using which kind of information from that citizen. So here as well, some guidance. We can say, okay, who, which is now the tax office from Flanders, is using EPB information to calculate taxes for that property. So we also say where does the information come from, which agency is responsible for that information, and also on base of which legal authorization this data can be used. Here, some other components of Mahda Square come into the picture which are needed. So we need a logging system to log each transaction over the Mahda Square services. So both the user and the citizen has to identify him or herself to get access to the data. We provide a high level of security. And here we also need some kind of semantic standards, because if we want to provide to the citizen information on that transaction, it has to be comparable and easily understood by the citizen itself. So if we go back to this use case again, Okay, now I know the Flemish tax office is using information about my energy prestation of my building to calculate taxes. I want to know what kind of information they are using in their process. So here as well, you can go back to the citizen portal, have a look on the right, you can see there, okay, this is the EPB information the government has for me. You can click on the information button to get more information. Okay, you can see here EPB, what does it mean? What kind of value is presented here? If you do not agree with that information, or you say, I have here the paper, it's not 160, it's 100. Then you have the possibility as well to request a change via the portal, or to ask additional questions to who owns that information. And here as well, to handle that change request, we can use the integrated service delivery of Magda Square the other way around. So we start bottom left from the citizen, and we have a dispatching mechanism to get that request to the right source, in this case then VEA. So here as well, the citizen doesn't have to know anymore who he has to address. He has one portal, he asks his question, and the Magda Square services under the hood allows the request to get to the right person or organization. Voilà. So these are some of the steps you are taking to the holy grail of digital government. So we need user-centric applications to allow them to be user-centric. We need integrated public services, which here then is Magda Square. And in order to combine all those services, data sources, we need the set of base registries and semantic standards so we can talk to one another. So thank you very much for your attention. I think we do have time.
Thank you, Tony. Also now we have opportunity to put some questions from the auditorium. Floor is yours. There is one question, please.
Well, maybe a stupid question. What is Magda Square? You've said it a number of times, but I don't know the abbreviation.
Abbreviation, well, it's in Dutch, so it's maximale gegevensdeling. I think you will understand. Maximale gegevensdeling tussen administraties en autoriteiten.
Thanks very much.
And the square is coming from the combination of the SDI and the non-SDI platform.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Another question?
I'm not sure I understand. Is it open right now? When did it open? And how many people are using it? And
Yes.
why? How do they know about it?
Good question, thank you. The Citizen Portal is currently under construction and it's due to open first quarter of 2018. The Magda services which are providing the sources are already in existence. So it's a new application built on top, but it's still under development.
Okay, and the third question is over there.
Thank you, good morning. Do you also intend, for example, to have environmental permitting made available to the public in this way?
That's the intention at least, yes. We have a parallel project which is more than aiming at providing permits and more focusing on the environmental issues, this is more the broader picture where you can find all information, but we do plan to have specific applications as well in future.
Okay. Any other interest for questions? If not, then I would like thanks again, Tony.
Thank you.
The last but not least presenter comes from University of Miskolc. Ms. Nikolina Mic will speak about development of infrastructure for spatial information based on European Inspire Directive in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Nikolina, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I am Nikolina and I'm coming from Faculty of Earth Science and Engineering from University of Miskolc in Hungary, but my country of origin is Bosnia and Herzegovina. So why am I speaking about Inspire? My PhD topic, it's deeply involved with Inspire. I'm not dealing so much now with the development of Inspire geoportals. I'm dealing with 3D models of buildings and smart cities, which will include, of course, in the annex in Inspire. But in my country of origin, we did some development of Inspire geoportal of Bosnia Herzegovina, who called it iGeo. I prepared some slides about introduction in Inspire, but I think that already you all know what is Inspire and when Inspire Directive started in 2005, 7, and now we have a lot of things to do until 2019 to implement, to create some strategies. As you know, Bosnia and Herzegovina is not part of European Union, so I know that Inspire Directive is mainly focused to member states of European Union, but we, like I am engineer, Master of Science Engineer of Geodesy and Geoinformatics, we are tendency trying to put ahead our country with these standards. Our Ministry of Civil Engineering all the time try to implement new standards or develop new standards through Inspire and respect this directive. So I'm sorry, just a second. I will start from this slide. This is our experimental research. I was working in a team with, I'm sorry, just full screen. Okay. I was working with a team of expertise in geoinformatics in Bosnia and Herzegovina, exactly in Republika Srpska, other part of Bosnia and Herzegovina in Banja Luka. And we developed a geoportal, iGeo. iGeo geoportal was based on the ICO TC 100 19139 standards who respects metadata, and we developed this geoportal based on web map services, web future services, web coverage services, GML, geography markup language. Also, this geoportal is used to access a countrywide geographic data in Bosnia and Herzegovina. All municipalities can use this geoportal. Also, some other private companies can use and download this data through this geoportal. Also, this technically iGeoS, as I know, iGeo, as I know, is the first geoportal in Bosnia and Herzegovina developed based on national spatial data infrastructure. You know that a lot of these data that we share with others are free, and you can download it and also upload your data on this geoportal. So on this previous picture, you can see that small municipality in our country, Prijedor, that we had developed some of 3D models in this 3D models of the buildings in this municipality during the one project that we started, Brown Info project with UK. Also, these data are freely, you can download it, as I said. This is a base map. On this base map of our geoportal, it was shown local administrative units, orthophoto imagery, cadastre parcels. Also, you can see digital model of terrain of this part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. As I mentioned, a lot of these services that we used for implementing our metadata used metadata on this geoportal. We use streaming KML and KMZ services in Google Earth, and on this picture you can see 3D buildings and how we build our metadata. So our tendency is now to map a very old buildings who are now abandoned, like brownfields. We said like brownfields, and to put it like a new model in Inspire standards, to develop Inspire standards through these brownfields. Our Ministry of Civil Engineering support this directive and gave us a lot of finance support through this project, but the main problem during this development and after we developed this geoportal, it's how to stay up to date. That is a big problem in Bosnia and Herzegovina. When we develop something and put it online to work, after some time we cannot manage everything and put another data or other resources on this geoportal. That is the main problem here. So I didn't mention, I'm sorry that I didn't mention that which platforms we use for develop of Bosnia and Herzegovina geoportal. We use commercial softwares, AutoCAD Map 3D, AutoCAD Civil 3D, S3, ArcGIS Desktop. Also, we use some other open source softwares on three servers. They are working these platforms, and you can access Bosnian geoportal just clicking in our website of the state governmental cadastre agency. Yeah. So streaming super overlays in Google Earth, you can see that we developed our DTM, digital model of terrain. So in this municipality we use topographic map and create DTM. So I'm not use these 15 minutes, but I didn't want to start with my introduction, what is Inspire and what we are doing now, just to show you what we developed during the time, and I hope that after some time that we are beyond the level of some European Union member states for implementing some parts, of course, of Inspire directive. My mainly focus is in geodesy and data, which are extremely focused in geodesy data levels like reference frame, orthophotos, and especially now during my PhD, 3D models of buildings. So as a conclusion, I will say that there is more and more data today that we need to implement on our geoportal, and they are available through European Union member state geoportals. And this program is really innovative, certainly innovative, and we should more and more implement and develop our national spatial data infrastructure. And I hope that we will be ready for implementation in 2019. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nikolina, for a nice presentation and for your generous respect also for time, that we have opportunity for put some questions and for some time for discussion. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, floor is yours. There's one question.
Okay, thank you. Yes, your presentation really was very, very good, but I have to say some words about Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yes, unfortunately, in the Bosnia and Herzegovina, there isn't a top-level institution for geodesy and cartographic. Maybe you can open or geoportal or Federal Geodetic Administration, and also look all information which we give to citizens or other users. And I think our geoportal now has maybe about 1 million visitors during months. And unfortunately, on the state level, there isn't geoportal. Maybe that is some vision in Europe, vision. But now in Bosnia and Herzegovina, geodetic administration organized at entity level, cantonal level, and municipal level. That is the situation now. But in the future, maybe also will be organized some agency on the state level. But I have to say that your presentation may be some part of vision.
Yes, some part of vision, and some of these things are implemented in our in our geoportals, in our ministry. But I think that we had tried to develop a common geoportal for a country like Bosnia and Herzegovina. It doesn't matter which part we are. So I think that is like a future, and if we don't think about the future, we will stand up in just one place.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? They are also welcome. If there is no, then thank you again, Nikolina, for presentation. We are at the end of our presenters. We heard 5 excellent presentations from 6 presenters. So our work is finished in this session, but if you would like to discuss any additional topics, you are of course welcome. Thank you for your patience, and see you in the plenary. Thank you. Assemblies? No, the next block is panel. It's plenary. So it's the biggest conference. Yes, okay. So, but after lunch, again, this kind of session, small, 5 parallel. But the parallel session is organized same modality. There is one hostess, one moderator, and 5 or 6 presenters. Finally informal way. Yeah, I was not introduced in detail what is the role of the university regarding governmental and county level, so I will not go into questions in detail. Yeah.